time to drop.
Welcome back to the Hennisphere, everyone. It's time to rank another coaster. Today, it's going to be Roadrunner Express. This was put in 1997, shortly after Six Flags acquired the park in 1996, and it was designed by Alan Schilke, the Godfather himself. These sometimes get a bad rap just for their transitions. A lot of them were built in the 70s, and even earlier than that, but this one I think is one of the better ones, and I've always enjoyed it ever since I rode it as a little kid. I always got re-rides on it. I like that it has multiple lift hills. It uses the canyon wall to its advantage, so you can consider this a terrain coaster for sure. Some of the stats on it: 2,400 feet of track, 73 feet tall, no inversions obviously. Duration is about 2 minutes with both of those lift hills. So without those lift hills, I'm assuming it's close to 1 minute, because the layout really repeats itself. You have a helix to one direction, and then you curve up into a helix to the other direction, then you go into the second lift hill, you zigzag on top of the canyon wall, then you have a helix and going one direction followed by a helix going the other direction again, and then you hit the brake run. So kind of, I'm not going to call it a boring layout, but just lots of helixes that are banked. The first lift hill gives you that max height, 73 feet. The second lift hill is only listed at 38 feet tall. And I kind of wonder, that second lift hill, that statistic must be from the bottom of it to the top, not from the top of it to the ground. Because this thing is kind of up way high off the ground, the station is. Let's jump into the coaster enthusiast categories. We'll start off with the height. 73 feet is not very tall, that's a little below average, 4 out of 10. The speed is actually not given, but I'm going to assume it's close to 35 miles an hour, maybe 40. Either way, that's below average, 4 out of 10. Drops are also not listed, but in looking at the helixes, it's either 50, 60 feet, no more than that, and they're not steep at all. So this is only going to earn a 5 out of 10. G-forces. There are certainly positive G's on this ride. Negative G's, not really. You won't find them, but the positive G's are pretty good, so those meet the average, 5 out of 10. Wow factor. Amongst little kids, this is definitely a favorite, and it certainly was for me, but as time has gone on, mine trains really don't have a big wow factor, and parks who have mine trains have pretty much all invested in something bigger, scarier, faster, and taller. So these are just seen as supporting coasters. This one is no different. It's seen as average when you look at coaster lineups. It's not super short, and it's not a kiddie coaster, so I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Add up these 5 scores from these categories, and you get 23 out of 50 for the enthusiast category. That's a little below average. Let's move on to the general public categories. We'll start with theming. There used to be more theming with this ride. I remember seeing Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner multiple times throughout the ride, and especially after that second lift hill when you're on top of the canyon wall. I remember Wile E. Coyote was pushing a boulder and it actually moved, and it looked like it was gonna fall on top of you. And then there was a scene with an anvil that was hanging. It was gonna crush Roadrunner. And there were rockets on the back of the coaster train. I think they're still there. I don't know if they look the same, but there was just a little bit more, and some of that has been taken away. Everything in the station and queue line looks like it's still there, with all of the Acme boxes. The crates are hanging from ropes. There are anvils. The theming is pretty good. It's average. It meets the average. So 5 out of 10. The restraints. It's just a simple lap bar, and the sides of the lap bar go on the outside of your legs. So there's 2 bars holding it, one on your left, one on your right. They come down rather easily. You might get stapled, but usually there's a little bit of wiggle room. But do note that the seats have that same rubber material that boomerang seats have, but these seats are contoured a little better than those. So I'm not going to knock it any points. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. The layout. I've already gone over the layout. It's a lift hill, helix one direction, helix other direction, lift hill. Zigzag on the canyon wall. come down into a helix going one direction, then you turn and do a helix the other direction, and then you hit the brake run. Not a very thrilling layout, and there's nothing that really screams wow other than there's 2 lift hills, so that's unique. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Length, 2,400 feet of track, is not long, but it's also not short like a lot of the other cloned rides that I have ranked, so this is average, 5 out of 10. Smoothness. This is one of my favorite mine train coasters, and smoothness does factor into that reasoning, so I'll say that this is above average, but it's not the best. It'll get a 6 out of 10. Adding up these 5 scores from the general public categories, we have 30 out of 50. That's a solid score, above average. Add 30 to the 23 points from the coaster enthusiast categories, and you have 53 out of 100, just slightly above average, and better than the previous 3 coasters I ranked from Fiesta Texas. Only 1 point better than Batman the Ride, and that is certainly a more thrilling ride. It's also a lot shorter, so that's where it loses points. 1 point better than Journey to Atlantis at SeaWorld, because, I mean, let's be honest, that ride is not much of a coaster, really. 2 points better than Boomerang. Again, that's a more intense ride. It has inversions, crazy layout, and quite a few points better than Pandemonium. Spinning coaster has some okay drops and some helixes, but the mine train just has a better feel. Coming up next, I will be ranking Poltergeist, the LIM Launch Premier Rides coaster from Six Flags Fiesta Texas. So we're really moving up to the big boy coasters. After that will be Wonder Woman Golden Lasso, followed by Superman Krypton Coaster, and then Iron Rattler. Cannot wait. But also remember, later tonight I will be at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, even though it's closed, because I've RSVP'd for the 2020 announcement. Cannot wait for that. Please subscribe. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers. I'll be bringing you more videos every day for the next 4 days. Thanks for watching. That was another day in the Hennisphere.